Welcome to the Leading at the Next Level podcast with Dove Development and Consulting, the show built to provide ongoing support for your leadership journey. Before we move into today's lesson, let's make sure we're on the same page. We've seen firsthand how much more is required to provide authentic leadership to a team than to simply manage based on the authority that comes with a title or position. What we've learned through more than 50 combined years of leadership responsibility is that taking the extra steps to serve people and earn influence will always produce results than barking orders ever will. So we'll get right into developing a mentorship mindset, as well as some disciplines around gaining mentorship in your life and giving mentorship to others, and really how this circle of mentorship is the difference maker for you and for others in so many ways. So think about, how do you get this mindset that mentoring is a difference maker? Or how do you help another individual if you're giving them mentorship, or you think the conversation is heading that way? So hopefully you find yourself mentoring now, or thinking about someone that you can mentor, or being mentored. And I hope you're finding women and men who will mentor you both in a personal setting and at distance. Usually as we grow, we likely won't find mentors only locally. We might, but as we grow, especially with the world now, with the technology, we can access the mentors at distance as well. The Mentorship Circle of Life is what I hear it called often, and I really like that term, is really like being a river and not a reservoir. So it's being poured into, and in turn pouring into others, and just keeping that mentorship circle of life going. John Maxwell puts it this way. He says, when you're mentoring, you're pouring your life into other people and helping them reach their potential. And he talks about the power of mentoring is incredibly strong, and that as you're giving of yourself, you're showing others how to grow personally and professionally, and you're helping them achieve a whole new level of living, right? If you've mentored before or been mentored, then you've likely experienced that. You truly make a positive difference in other people's lives when you mentor them. I remember for Wes and I, it was around the year 2001, our receiving of mentorship began in that we found individuals both at distance and in a personal setting locally to be mentored by. And somewhere along the way, really not too far into this journey, we started mentorship by audio, which, gosh, in 2001, that meant cassette tapes at that point. But we were able to access some leaders at a distance that we were also able to hear from stage at times, which led to a mentorship program that was offered by John Maxwell himself. And there were others in person, and some were excellent and had our best interest at heart. Others, we learned, had their best interest at heart. But you want to find mentors who are in your life where you want to be in a specific area or mindset, and that have your best interest at heart. And to know, because Wes and I didn't know this, or at least I didn't, right off when we were younger and first experiencing mentorship, but no one person can possibly mentor you in every area of life. And no one is that good. So in this lesson, we want to give you some things to consider in mentoring, and who you mentor and who mentors you. So first, I want you to consider the who part. And that's the first thing to answer, is who. Who do you mentor, if anyone currently, and who mentors you? So I'm guessing that for many of you listening, either live or digital, that you can quickly identify an individual or maybe multiple individuals who are mentoring you in some way. But I want to challenge some of you who are listening in either fashion to consider the fact that you're being mentored right here. So right now, by Wes and I, by a business leader in your community, or in the community here in Harrisonburg and in this leadership platform, but you're being mentored wherever you are in the country or globally already. Okay, because sometimes individuals don't realize that at distance and digital learning and podcast and books and those types of things, when you're following someone else's leadership and learning, that if you're applying it and you're being consistent, that you can actually be mentored in that fashion. And gosh, if it's not Wes and I, then find some people. Remember, no one person can mentor you in everything. And be sure that you have some solid individuals mentoring you. Find people who inspire you, that you gain from, that are willing and able to offer you their time and some quality time. So that was really about like who is mentoring you. But we also need to consider the who and who are we mentoring. So maybe some individuals come to mind for you that you're kind of mentoring along. I hope so, but if not, give this some thought. There are people in your life now, and those who will be in your life at some point, that you can give this gift of mentorship to, that'll really allow what you're gaining now and what you've gained in the past to continue flowing through you, and just not to you, just not stopping with you. Then of course we need to consider who is mentoring us currently, and along with who else would we like to be mentored by. Sometimes we don't give thought to who we would like to be mentored by, or other areas that we might want to consider being mentored in. So who mentors us and who mentors you really determines your life. Who you allow to speak into you will determine your trajectory in life. So who you mentor determines, gosh, not only the help and the life skills and direction that they can gain, but it also determines a piece of your legacy. Who you speak into are many of the same individuals that are going to be speaking about you after you're no longer here. So again, it's this idea of being a river and not a reservoir. So moving on here, I want to land on some things that mentoring is not. And we'll just get that out of the way, and then we'll get into some other things. So this is pretty simple, but significant. And you've got some things on your slide here, but mentoring is not just spending time together. Mentoring is not, we went out and played golf today, or we went out and hung out and discussed politics today, or it's not, we enjoyed lunch and had our nails done today, or hey, we caught up and went for a jog. No, mentoring is not who you're spending time with. Mentoring is who is investing in you and who are you investing in. And it must include you making an investment in yourself and in your own growth. And the quote on your slide here is, you have got to have an investing mindset, not a spending mindset. So that's the first thing about what mentorship is not. And then secondly, my goodness, that mentorship is not therapy, right? So there's a difference between mentoring and counseling. Therapy needs to be done by a therapist, and mentoring needs to be done by mentors. The mentoring is much more than a therapy session, and each have their own specific need and their own specific individuals who can accomplish that. And then one more, mentoring is not a one-way street. Now, they're all significant, but this is something that I see missed so often, and it's critical to the success of each individual, but especially to the individual being mentored. So a coach might be a one-way street, an advisor may be a one-way street, but when you're in a mentoring relationship, then all people need to have a mindset of contributing. So when you're in a mentoring mindset, you have got to have a mindset of giving and of execution. So all people in the relationship are contributing. For example, when a mentor gives us advice from their time and energy, they are investing in us. So we're sure to report. Now I'm talking about Wes and I, and this is what it should look like. So they're investing in us, and then we're sure to report back to them with how we applied their advice and what their investment did for us. So this demonstrates that we're contributing too. I've had individuals, just a couple in particular, who have asked me, hey, can you mentor me? I think you are the perfect person to mentor me. And I'm flattered. But at this point in my life, I have to know that it's going to be a two-way street, for the individual. So one specific person comes to mind, and I would need to see her have a discipline to focus and grow and show some stick-to-itiveness before I carve out time and put energy and commitment and start a mentorship journey, right? So I can help her work towards that through some other things that we do, but then we would have to have that conversation, because I have very little time. But even when I had more time, which I usually fill my time up anyway, but seem to have less of it now, that because I have less now, I have to be careful with my commitments, and we have more grandchildren, more family. But we do offer mentorship through this program that you're in right now through our Leading at the Next Level program. So, this time here, where we can add value and then we carve out time at the end of the session for some one on one or sometimes small group discussion, this time and commitment and energy and effort is already in our calendar, and is really the best way for us to mentor others currently. So you'll see different ways that individuals mentor in terms of what time frame that they have. And we do offer coaching, but again, coaching is a different process than mentoring. So those things of what mentoring is not, I wanted to be sure and get those in right up front so we would have those in our forethought. So let's talk about why mentorship in the first place. So we need to answer that question of why mentorship. So let's get into some things that demonstrate a mentoring mindset and help you determine whether mentorship is right for you. So Mark Cole, who I am mentored by, and if you haven't been on the platform before, Mark is the CEO of all 7 of John Maxwell's companies, and he's actually now owner of the company, but John is still very active. And Mark describes a picture that's on your slide, and I'll describe it too in case you're not able to see the picture, if you're driving or something. But this is a picture of Mark walking with John, and John gave Mark this picture. He's got an inscription on it, if you can see that, about them being together for 20 years. This is a picture of Mark and John walking down a street in Guatemala, and John's hand is on Mark's shoulder, and Mark is looking over at John. So Mark is talking to John. And so it goes kind of like this, and how Mark describes it. John is Mark's mentor. John is walking with him. He's listening to what's in the heart of his mentee. They're on a journey. They're not only in a journey to another country, but heading down the road in a journey, and they're on a life and work journey together. Some other things and ways Mark describes this is mentorship is never a status or a positional relationship, and that's shown in the picture. And they're going somewhere together with the best interest of one another in heart. And he just adds, he talks about, and it's a long journey for them. So they've been together 20 years in business. He's been mentored by John for 11 or 12. So mentorship is not a flash in the pan or anything that's usually very quick. It's a journey together. So in thinking about mentorship for you, some questions to ask yourself, and who can you mentor, just this whole picture, are things like, how can I improve me? And how can I improve my team? Am I sharing everything that I'm learning right now? And that kind of helps us think into, what am I doing to improve me, my team? What can flow through me and to other people? And then let's also think quickly at or look into some reasons around why we would want to have a mentor as well as mentor others. And just take this a little bit further. Then we'll get into the disciplines for a mindset of mentorship, because we need to know more of the benefits both ways, both for us and for those that we pour into. So in a recent Forbes article, and this is a quote, part of the quote on your slide, I found that this quote of professionals surveyed, they found 76% think mentors are important, but only 37% have them. So for those having mentors, this was a really great article. They spoke of the value gains, like things like they attributed part of their professional and life success to having a mentor. And mentors also provided a wealth of knowledge and experience and guided their mentees through challenges and really increased their likelihood of success. And another description was mentors lifted them up and took their success personally. They had a personal interest in their success. So that brings me to, why do only 37% of professionals have mentors? So here's another survey and an article that I read, and it's from Olivet Nazarene University. And this will just help us dive into this a little deeper. It was fascinating. They did a recent survey of 3,000 people about professional, like mentor-mentee relationships. And here's what they found. 76% of people think mentors are important. However, only 37% currently have one. The same exact results as the Forbes survey. And some things that they said was those with mentors are happier in their current jobs than those without. And another statistic was only 14% of mentor relationships started by actually asking someone to be their mentor. 61% of those relationships just develop naturally. And then one more area that we should look at, and then we'll get back into those solid points around mentorship mindset. This area asks the question, would a mentor be beneficial for you? Thanks for listening to the Leading at the Next Level podcast. Next time, we'll pick up where we left off here by digging into some solid points around what mentorship mindset really looks like. And we're going to discuss the question so you can decide for yourself, would a mentor be beneficial for you? Now, if you'd like to go deeper into anything that we've shared here, or you need continuing education credit for your professional credential, send us an email at admin@dove-development.net. We'll be happy to hook you up with a 40-day all-access trial of our complete Leading at the Next Level program at no cost. The full program includes access to over 100 hours of digital lessons, complete with slides and an action-based assessment that'll really help you capture measurable bottom line improvements in your organization. And 2 live lessons each month with Q&A, so it can really help you to identify the specific action that you want to take to lead your team more effectively. See you next time on the Leading at the Next Level podcast.